Hello there guys, Manchester City have just beat Huddersfield 3-0 and I'm a very, very happy person. I hope you're all very good and I hope you enjoyed watching that game. Don't forget as well that this channel is sponsored by the wonderful people over at OneFootball for the month of January. So go download the app, my favourite football app by a long, long way, for free in the link in the description below. It helps support this channel and it's a dead good app and it helps you keep up to date with all the Manchester City news, results, stats and all that, as you can see by the app next to me there on screen. Go download it, it's dead good. I thought I'd try a new format for match reactions today. I'm going to break it down into certain kind of parts and talk about certain things from the game, as you can see below, and give it more context and more kind of deep thought, because I want to start making longer videos and more analysis in general. And I'm going to start initially by just kind of setting the game up. Now, as we saw, it was an interesting lineup. We kind of didn't play any Silvers, which was a strange yet bold move. We went for Kevin De Bruyne. Good to see him start a Premier League game with Gundogan there. I wasn't too disappointed with Gundogan starting, given the fact that he's been in good form recently. And we decided to start Otamendi as well in defence to kind of counter their physicality. I prefer Stones to start, but I understand that decision. Danilo carried on at left back with Walker at right back, and then we saw Gabriel Jesus drop to the bench and Sergio Aguero came in. I wasn't too happy with that personally. I think in general, Jesus needs these games at the moment. He's in a great run of form, and continuing that momentum for him is a good thing. Aguero's Aguero. He's always going to score goals, but letting Jesus get that confidence up and start scoring a few more, that would have been my ideal thing. As it is, it didn't really matter, but that was my thoughts on the lineup. I was nervous going into this game because I looked at the omens and the stats and they weren't great. We'd scored 99 goals going into this game, the record of all the professional leagues in England, and Huddersfield had only 13 goals, the lowest of all the football league in England as well. So I thought someone's going to give it, they're going to somebody score 3 or 4 goals and we're somehow going to score none. But thankfully it didn't turn out that way. They had obviously Mark Hudson as well as the caretaker manager after Wagner, the very popular Wagner, was sacked recently, and usually you get the worry that a new manager is going to bring this kind of positivity and boom. It didn't quite turn out that way in the end, but it was still a really important game given the fact that Liverpool had gone 7 points clear and we need to keep that pressure on them. And thankfully we did. Going into the first half, I think this meme just about sums up that first half. Now, we did recover eventually without a silver, but that was a really poor performance. We lacked any form of control. We lacked just kind of consideration and composure. The first half was genuinely really bad. Yes, we went 1-up at half-time, but it was sloppy. There were loose passes from just about everyone, even reliable players like Kevin De Bruyne and Danilo. They were just careless on the ball. Gundogan didn't play much better. Walker looked a little bit uncomfortable. And throughout the team, there was just a lack of cohesion in general. It wasn't good. Pep was largely just sat there in his dugout like that. And that's when you know Pep's not happy, when he does that kind of disappointed dad kind of face. It wasn't a good first half of football, but in general though, we should have been 1-up after 15 minutes. Raheem Sterling was brought down for the most blatant penalty that you've ever seen, and for some reason it wasn't given. It was just a bizarre decision by Mariner, and the linesman didn't somehow notice it either. Really weird. It was the clearest penalty ever. Obviously it led to Sterling getting booed even more from the Huddersfield fans. What was that about? Why were they booing Sterling? Really strange, and I can't stand that lower league mentality. It's stupid and it's embarrassing, and Huddersfield fans, you let yourself down there. But thankfully it didn't matter too much with Danilo lining one up from 25 yards, a deflection, and it flew into the far corner. We probably just about deserved that goal given the fact that the penalty was denied. But it was a sluggish first 45 minutes. It wasn't good enough for a team that's obviously meant to be chasing someone like Liverpool down at the moment. It was sluggish. It was unsurprising that the second half they came out a lot better. You got the impression that Guardiola had read some form of riot act to them, because that kind of performance, given the players they got there, just isn't acceptable really. And thankfully whatever he said made a huge difference. Now the second half they came out and they were just a different team. It started about 3 or 4 minutes a little bit slowly, but then they burst into life in a 5-minute spell that absolutely obliterated Huddersfield. The second goal was gorgeous. Intricate one-touch football movement and intelligence between Sane and Sterling, which led to a tap-in at the back post from a Sane cross for Raheem Sterling. It's just a beautiful combination, that, isn't it? A Sterling run at the back post and a Sane cross and a goal. Now there was a question mark over Sane's onsideness. His heel was just about over the line like that, which is understandable, and technically it is offside, but I would say, given fortune and favour and all that kind of stuff, it just about cancelled out the poor decision for the penalty. So it can't be any real complaints there, given the fact it was marginal and given the fact that we should have already had a goal in the first half from a very bad decision. So I think that was fair enough. And then in general, the goal was gorgeous, the movement lovely. Another assist for Sterling, who apparently now has the fastest rate of assists by any player ever in the Premier League. He's coming for all the best wingers and he's going to get there and overtake him. He's a world-class player, and it was him as well that got the third goal. What a move. What a beautiful move. It was gorgeous. It was like watching art and poetry in motion. A lovely first-time ball from Danilo, pinged up towards Aguero. Aguero cushion headed it back to Sane, and the composure. The way he sat the keeper down, the defender and all that kind of stuff, it's just lovely stuff. When he's through and goal like that, Sane has this lovely kind of almost like Bergkamp composure to his finishing. I love that about him. It's something that I think and hope he'll develop more as he gets older, because he does have this unerring level of just calmness inside his head when he's through and goal. I love it. And after that, I guess that was when it really was game over. There was a slew of changes then as Guardiola looked to freshen some players up, and we kind of took a right off the ball a little bit then. I wasn't really happy with the final half an hour. I thought we were a little bit too slow, and we could have made them suffer a little bit more and hopefully made a bigger dent on the goal difference, but it wasn't to be. Silva came on for Gundogan, which was probably going to be expected given the fact that I don't think Gundogan had the greatest of games really. It was nice to see as well Silva rocking a full head of hair there. He's getting back there, isn't he? He's going to have their hair like this soon one day. You're all going to hate it, but I'm going to absolutely love it. I miss David's long flowing hair. It's getting there. It's going to get there. Fingers crossed we'll see it by the end of the season. We saw Bernardo coming on the right hand side. It was notable that Mahrez was on the bench. Bernardo obviously chosen as the right winger option today, but that was an interesting decision. He did okay when he came on as well. It wasn't really much to talk about. And we also saw Delph make a short kind of cameo in the Fernandinho role towards the end of the game as well for 10 minutes. I mean, obviously given the fact that we've been linked to Schalke's Rudy, a defensive midfielder, as a potential emergency loan option. I say emergency loan, just, as a squad cover for Fernandinho. That doesn't really kind of show Delph in a strong light in terms of midfield position there. If we're after another one on loan, even at this stage of the season, it shows that maybe Pep doesn't have the utmost trust in Delph to do that role, or he doesn't have the trust in the fitness of the other left-back options at the moment. But after that anyway, the game largely petered out. It was a bit of a boring last 20 minutes, if we're being honest. We could have had a goal with Bernardo through and goal, fired it right at the keeper, and they could have had one right at the end where they somehow managed to put it wide from 5 yards out. It wasn't a fascinating second half. In general, it wasn't a great game. Individually, let's go on to that. Ederson had very little to do. One smart save to his left from a decent header, but in general, it was just Ederson looking bored and looking adorably just relaxed as he always does. That's Ederson for you in a nutshell. Right back, Walker, it was okay. The one thing about Walker for me at the moment is that he looks like he's lacking a little bit of pace, which is something I never thought I'd say about Walker. A few times the winger ran at him and actually managed to beat him, and that's uncharacteristic of a man who's not usually known for his physique. It was an okay game, a very 6 out of 10 performance. No catastrophic errors or anything like that, but he does lack a little bit of something at the moment that he had last season. Fingers crossed he can get it back there, but I guess all players go through a run of form that isn't the best, and that's where he is at the moment. On the left hand side, Danilo playing once again in an unfamiliar position, had a good game in my personal opinion. It wasn't great, but he scored the goal by being brave, and fortune does favour the bold, as the saying goes. And in general, he did an alright in a position that he has no right to be okay in. He's a good squad player, Danilo, and I'm definitely happy that he's playing there instead of Zinchenko, a man who can't defend for his life. I like Zinchenko as a person, but as a player, defensively, nah, no chance in the game like this for me. I think Danilo was the right choice. Centre backs, Laporte was good as ever, as he always is, a rock, and some very timely, some very astute interceptions from some dangerous Huddersfield crosses. Not to Mendy alongside him battled pretty hard. He was beating the air once, but that's where his lack of inches will come into play. But he's a bit of a warrior. I think none of us can deny that, and he put in a solid performance. In midfield, I thought Fernandinho had an average game, really. He's usually so reliable in games like this. He's usually tenacious and good on the ball, but he was a little bit loose, and there was a few passes where he was a little bit slack. But he is Fernandinho. He is a hero, so I will allow him the odd kind of slightly poorer moment. It was good to see De Bruyne get in 90 minutes. He needs that game time, and he will get there. I still don't think he's anywhere near his magical best yet, but you can see the danger that he brings, especially when he kind of drifts into that inside right channel thing where he whips in crosses. And there was a few passes, one particularly for the no penalty to Sterling, that showed how good he is at kind of spotting those slide through balls. There is a level for him to go up, yeah, still, but it's good to see him get back on the pitch. Gundogan alongside him just kind of flitted about like the worst of Gundogan. We've seen the best of Gundogan where he's clever, creative and incisive, and today we saw the worst where he tries to be clever but largely doesn't really do anything with the ball. Gundogan can be fine, but I still feel like we should always start a game with a Silva where possible, be it Bernardo or be it David. We just seem to need them. I mean, we got there in the end without them, but it just feels like we need them, if you know what I mean. We shouldn't have to have that kick up the arse from Pep at half time. I want to say as well, on the left, I thought Sane was absolutely fantastic. He's just so good. We're so lucky to watch him because I still think he's developing, and his goal and assist return, it's just phenomenal. He's the most exciting, terrifying winger when he's on form, and today he was an absolute handful. He didn't even have loads of touches of ball, but he still absolutely occupied that space and left and just drove Huddersfield whenever he can. And you can't really deny that statistical return that you get from Sane. On the right, Sterling, the subject of abuse and booing all game. He was good. good once again, effective, could have had a penalty, got his goal by doing what all great wingers do, running at the back post for a tap-in, and it was a decent game. Not his most effective game, maybe not at the explosive levels of earlier in the season, but he was earned a good kind of handshake by Pep as he came off in a decent performance. Aguero in the middle didn't really have a sniff at goal. He worked hard as ever. There were some nice moments, 1-2 link-up, but he didn't really get a clean kind of strike and goal throughout the whole game, really. But he did his job, and it was good to see him start again. And overall, it was just an important but ultimately forgettable win. It's crazy to think we scored 102 goals now. That's just absolutely crazy. If only we hadn't had that December slip, we'd be in a very good position now. But it happened, and we're still chasing Liverpool. I'm starting to think in general that as long as we keep up the pressure, it's kind of in a weird roundabout way in our own hands. I think if we do apply the pressure, Liverpool at some point will drop. Liverpool weren't great yesterday. They were really poor, and we're just about lucky to kind of have coming up against Speroni in goal, who threw the ball into net essentially. But Crystal Palace put a lot of pressure on them and showed that they're not perfect and they can concede goals. And we keep up that pressure and we keep up that intensity, and surely and hopefully at some point we'll play first and they'll play second, and we'll put pressure on them to actually go and win a game. Because as it is at the moment, the game's kind of reversed and we're always chasing after them. It'd be nice for once to be ahead of them in terms of the schedule and actually put a bit of pressure on them to come away and get a result. But all we've got to do is just keep matching them, and hopefully at some point they'll slip up. They've got an informed Manchester United to play within a few weeks. Fingers crossed Solskjaer can go and do his job there. I can't believe I'm wishing for that, but you never know. It is up to us, really. I think if we keep winning, Liverpool will drop 4 points at some point in the season. Fingers crossed. You've got to stay positive. But anyway, an ultimately forgettable game, but one that we needed to win, and we did win. I was disappointed though not to see Foden. He was on the bench. I always think we should bring him on to give him games when necessary. I understand the Delph substitution to give Fernandinho a rest, and I also understand the David Silva one, but the Bernardo one for me, Foden has actually played on the right for England under 17s before and done well there, so it made no sense really to not get Foden on for some games. Bernardo doesn't need the football at the moment, and I'm sure Foden would have been equally fine getting into that role if he'd played there. It's a shame. I understand it to an extent, but I kind of wish we'd got him on the pitch. But that's a minor great one, a good day for City. Anyway guys, a longer video there discussing the game. I hope you like this new format. Let me know if you enjoy it in the comments below, and don't forget, if you are new to this channel, make sure you hit subscribe for loads of Manchester City content going forward. I've been Stephen. Give this video a like, and I'll see you soon.